Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the After Hours Gaming League Season 3. We're in week number 7. It has been flying by. I hope you've had a lot of fun watching all of the games that the various casters, including myself, have brought to you. This week, I have got the pleasure of casting two of the teams that I've had a little bit of a cast of before. They've been really good. It is Palantir versus GREE. And yeah, we'll see how it goes today, starting out on Newkirk City as our first openers for the two teams. Starting at the bottom right-hand side is our blue Terran player. We've seen him before in pretty much the best TVZ game that I've ever seen in Heart of the Swarm before, doing a really awesome mech style. It is AHGL, and he's going to be starting over there. I'll just make sure the sound is on. There you go. And starting over at the bottom left-hand side for Team GREE, it is Sushi Slayer. Alright, so you know, as I was saying, hope you've been enjoying all the casts that we have been doing. Of course, there are some various casters that are part of the whole lineup for this season of AHGL. It has been a real treat to be able to join in and help out with the casting and all these kinds of things. It's just been a whole lot of fun. Of course, if you want to see any of the VODs, they're all available on After Hours Gaming.tv. You can also find them on the After Hours YouTube channel. I think it's called After Hours Gaming League. I think that's just flat what it is. Yeah, and of course, you know, with the playoffs coming up, we won't be starting the playoffs straight away. Of course, unfortunately, the beta goes down from the 1st of March, which today, well, for me at least, here in the future, it's the 26th of February, so there's still a couple of days to go. Once the beta goes down, of course, we can't actually do any casting. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait until just after the actual game is fully released, and once HOTS is all ready to go, then we'll be starting off the playoffs. Now, of course, the playoffs not only coincide with the ending of the season of AHGL, but also it'll be we'll be factoring in the casting competition, the So You Think You Can Cast competition. So do keep in mind that is going to be out there as well. Well, effectively, like if you've seen American Idol or you know, So You Think You Can Dance, I suppose, those sorts of things. It's very similar to that. What we'll be doing is you guys will have the opportunity to vote and give feedback on your favorite casters that are part of this competition, and then you can hopefully choose your favorites and then we'll get to see how all of that goes. But it should be a lot of fun. I'm going to end that ranting there because we have got a very cool opening coming out of AHGL here. We got double barracks going up, so he is going to go for a few Reapers for initial harass. Now, this has become a very popular thing in Heart of the Swarm, in TVZ in particular. Not so much TVP, of course, because, Reapers aren't massively fantastic against the things that Protoss can pull out, but Sushi Slayer will need to get a couple of queens out because he needs those for the defense. He does have the 2 on the way. He did get his gas going as well. Probably going to start his Zergling speed as quickly as he can. Now, the reason this is actually a little bit dangerous is that the Reapers are very, very fast, and they're not only faster than the Lings off the creep, but even on the creep they are faster, which I find quite hilarious. But of course, they don't do a massive amount of damage. They only do 4 per shot, though they do take 2 shots when they're inside and shooting at things. So they won't necessarily destroy mineral lines or anything like that like they used to, but what they do is sort of force a little bit of a reaction out of a Zerg player. Now, you can't necessarily just completely ignore speed these days because of these kinds of things happening, and as we can see, two Reapers together can actually be quite an annoying thing to try and deal with. Now, the Queens are going to try and force them back. They do get a couple of kills before they are evacuated out of the base. Now, we do have 4 Reapers here in total, 4 kills in total for the first 2 that came through. So that's a very nice amount of damage done for AHGL right on early in the game. So Sushi has been forced to not only invest in getting speed and getting some gas out early on, so it has put a little bit of a dent in his economy. He's been forced to just play very carefully. And look, we'll be getting a spine crawler. How often do you see a spine crawler going down this quickly in TVZ? So AHGL you know, has done a lot of pressure here. He's forced his opponent to sit back and just be very careful with what he's doing. There is a Ling that has made its way inside the natural base of XCal, and looks like this guy will be blocking off the expansion for a short time. Of course, XCal does have a second command center there, switching into the orbital command. It looks like he will be going for a mech style. He does, of course, have those 2 racks that started off this aggression, but he's getting a second factory behind this. I am highly assuming that this will be a mech play from him. Of course, 3 Reapers still out on the map. They've got a couple of kills each. Look at that, 2, 3, 2. They've been doing a really good job, and it has also sort of slowed down some of the creep spread here from Sushi Slayer. He's only just getting it started now. Looks like the Reapers will try and take down one of the tumors. Unfortunately, it runs out of vision there once it settles into the ground. He will try and push in a little bit further, maybe get some more kills, but now that speed is done for those Lings, not to mention there are a couple of Queens out here at the natural, and of course the one back inside the main, but this is going to force XCal to just head back for the moment, get his economy into shape, and get rolling with the mid to the late game. So, you know, we look at the worker count at the moment for these 2 players. We've got XCal sitting on 29 workers right now. His SCV count is going to start jumping very soon, of course, because of that extra command center that he's got. His opponent sitting on 40 drones, so not too bad, but the question is, when is he going to be able to take a 3rd base? Because, of course, you know, with the Lynx coming out this quickly, he's going to start gaining a lot of map control. He should be able to deal with things like these Hellions very early on, and gets a very nice round. That is nicely done there by Sushi Slayer. Takes down the first 2 Hellions that come out from XCal, and this is going to force XCal to say, alright, you've got some Lings out on the map, I'm going to have to be very careful with how I proceed with the with those Hellions from now on. So he's going to have to just keep an eye out on what's going on. 3rd factory going up, of course. The tank has come out with the siege mode all ready to go. He's just going to chuck this guy in the corner to give him a good field of view of what's out there. Of course, you know, he's got a nice area to shoot at across all this front door here. And in fact, XCal, nicely done. Handles those Lings very easily, gets rid of them, and he's now got the free reign to proceed across the map. Of course, a few Lings still out on the map here for Sushi Slayer, but, you know, we're just having a look at what the builds are for these 2 players. The 2 Evo chambers going up, not actually researching anything. I'm a little bit surprised at the positioning of those. Perhaps they would have been better at the front here to sort of limit the area that the Hellions have to run through, but it looks like they're going to try and come through again. Gets a little bit of damage done on that creep tumor, but back in the main base of Sushi Slayer, he does have a Spire getting started. So he's going to move into a Mutalisk tech, and then a scan goes down, very nicely done by XCal. In fact, sees that that Spire, very beautifully done. So he's going to have the opportunity to get some defense out to deal with those with the Mutalisks that are coming out. We've got a couple of Widow Mines that are starting to make their way out. I really do like these. A lot of people, I still am very unsure about people using these, because they, you know, people sometimes sort of group them all together. They're not as efficient, but this kind of thing that XCal has done here at the 3rd base, block off that 3rd base, and you also get the odd drone kill, or perhaps a unit that comes along. You can deal with those very nicely. So it is good to see that XCal is using those as a little bit more of a deterrent, as opposed to a, well, I'm going to defense all the things just because I've got 6 Widow Mines in this one position. It's nice to see this sort of thing coming along. So he's going to use these guys. Obviously, we'll probably put maybe 1 in the mineral lines of each of the 2 bases that he's got. His 3rd orbital command is up and running. Keep in mind, he does have 2 Thors now coming out as well, and +1 to weapons is being researched on the armory there. So the mines do burrow. We've got 2 down here at the main base, and the Mutaflonk is now making its way across. We've got a total of 12 Mutas here. They're going to take a Widow Mine in the face, and all grouped up, it looks like all of them will take the brunt of that, and it looks like, well, you know, he's still going to get inside. We'll get a couple of kills going, but the Thor comes along. A turret completes in the main mineral line there, and that is going to be, well, pretty much the end of the harassment from Sushi Slayer. It looks like the Mutas will eventually escape after taking a huge amount of kills. Remember, we started with 12 Mutas, and that has gone down to a total of 6, and even those are very, very hurt right now. So nicely done by XCal defending against all of that. Look at this worker count. 44 to 45. We've got our Zerg player still struggling for a 3rd base. The Widow Mine across here has 5 kills. He's taken out, obviously, at least 1 drone or 2. He also has a brother Widow Mine just over here at the alternate 3rd base as well. And there it goes. Another drone being silenced there before it was able to get into hatchery mode. And it looks like one Marine up here at the Xel'Naga Watchtower is going to get cleared out, but you know, we look at this position in the game right now. Our Terran player is on 3 bases before the Zerg is, and we've also got the upgrades coming along, +1 to the armor there for the vehicles and also the ships now as well. Not to mention, +1 to ship weapons being researched right now. So Vikings, if he needs to bring them out, will be quite handily protected. Meanwhile, of course, the 3rd base is still attempting to get established here. It looks like a Widowmine is going to have a shot on a drone. Does take it out. Very nicely done again. Just constantly putting this pressure on. And Sushi Slayer is finally able to get a 3rd base down. So XCal's efforts to block the 3rd base have been very successful until now. He's finally been thwarted for the moment, but back at home for Sushi Slayer, still continuing to produce those mutas. He's got still a fair amount of mutas out on the map at the moment. We've got 11 in total. We've also got a huge amount of lings through the middle section of the map. There are 61 lings out right now. He is researching the +2 to melee attack and the ground carapace as well, so definitely getting a lot of those going. Interesting little wall off here. It's not often you see a Zerg sort of fully wall off. I'm not sure if that was intended or not, but you know, we'll see. It looks like the mutas are going to try and come through, taking 2 Widow Mines and even a 3rd, and those guys are just going to get blasted apart. They are all basically in the red. Luckily for the mutas, of course, they have this fantastic tissue regen now, which gives them a really good regen rate, but another Widow Mine strewn through the middle of the map there is able to get another shot off, takes out a muta, and XCal is really starting to cement his position here in this game. He's got all 3 bases up and running. Really cool to see that he's using supply drop. I kind of feel like sometimes supply drop is a lot better than the old mule, but I don't know, that's just me. And, you know, as we can see, extra factories now coming up for XCal, so he's going to have a huge amount of production available. It looks like, you know, 5 factories in total. We got a 4th command center just being built now as well. A starport is also available to throw out some, not only medevacs, but of course also a few Vikings if needed. And his opponent, meanwhile, is still struggling, down at 127 supply. He's got a couple of Widow Mines to deal with. They're trying to run their way through, get taken out by the roaches, and of course the Overseer that is here to protect this position on the map. But you know, our Zerg player is still sitting down at 38 drones right now. This is not a position you want to be in as our Zerg player for GREE. Sushi Slayer in quite a lot of trouble right now. Of course, he is facing up against the Masters player. I believe Sushi is actually is a Diamond player. I think, I'm not too sure, but something along those lines. Looks like XCal going to go for a drop. A couple of Hellions inside this medevac, along with a Widow Mine as well. Looks like another Widow Mine getting a huge amount of kills there. 27 kills on that Commander Widow Mine there. And it looks like the drop is going to come through. We've got 1 medevac in here. This guy is full of Widow Mines right now, 4 in total. The Queen going to try and come across to defend against this. This is the point of the game where you would really like to see a Spore and a couple of Spines here in the main base of our Zerg player, but unfortunately none of that is available. It looks like the mines now dropping in. They are doing a ridiculous amount of damage, and the Hellions, just 2 Hellions coming through, mopping up quite a lot of those links, even getting a couple of drones. And as we look at the worker kill tally, it is 13-9, which is obviously not a massive amount of damage, but I mean, when you consider this is mostly being done by Widow Mines and maybe a couple of Reapers at the start, this is a huge position for XCal to be in. He's now got 1-2 on his upgrades right now, probably going to look to do a push very soon. He's up at 180 supply. His 4th base is now up and running as well. The Widow Mines continuing to do a large amount of damage there. Gets another shot off and takes a few more links down before being destroyed. But the Widow Mines, just incredible at the moment for XCal. He's been doing a ridiculously good job with that. Up to 77 workers right now. Vikings starting to clear out some of these overlords here. We've got a couple of them around the map, and it looks like Sushi, well, he's got all these mutas, but I mean, what can you do with them when you're sitting at this position right now, when you've got a total of 16 mutas out and 28 roaches? He's just going to have to go for broke here. The roaches, keep in mind, still do not have their speed upgrade. They do have +2 on their carapace, which is nice and sexy, but you know, when you've got to try and deal with all these defenses that are available to XCal, he's got turrets, he's got planetary fortress in here at the 4th base. Thor's now coming about to try and deal with those mutas, and they should be able to blast them apart. The prawns with wings are being taken down by the Thors, and the push now coming across from Sushi is not really going to get too much done. Look at all these tanks that are here. Some of them not even siege, not even bothering to siege, and a Widow Mine takes care of that. And wow, it looks like, well, I was going to say, the Widow Mines are about to chase after the roaches there. That's an interesting tactic if I've ever seen one. And the upgrades still continuing to pour out here from XCal. 3-3 on his ground units there coming along on those on the factory units, and then of course extra factories now coming about. His production is in an incredible state right now. He's starting to bank up gas even, which is not something you always see. Meanwhile for Sushi Slayer, still struggling to get those drones out, sitting at 44 right now. We're at the 20-minute mark, and our Zerg player has only 46 workers. So he's well, he's just been forced to try and rebuild them constantly while trying to put some pressure on, but unfortunately with all these ring of defensives right here, we got that turret ring here at the 4th base. We've also got, you know, a couple of we had some widow mines here inside the main, not to mention an extra layer of a turret ring there, and it looks like we've got XCal now pushing across. We've got a huge amount of tanks. We've got 16 tanks in total, 5 Thors. We've got some widow mines coming along with this push as well, burrowing in there. Will they get a shot off? No, they won't. The muta's a little bit too far out of range there, but the tanks sieging up, getting a decent spread here. This is one thing you have to be very careful of. Of course, if this was perhaps a little bit of a different position here, where Sushi Slayer actually had some Vipers out, you have to be very careful with the tanks. Of course, if you get a blinding cloud on a large clump of tanks like this, your tanks are effectively useless, so you have to be careful about these sorts of things, but I don't think that is going to be a problem at all here for XCal. The 4th base, the 3rd base is mining away quite nicely here for Sushi, but with his 4th gone, with only a few meters left in the sky, and the roaches now coming across trying to get some damage done, things are looking very grim for our GREE player. He's, well, his supply is at 135. It's not often you see a Terran just blasting ahead like this, but he has been able to. The tank's going to slowly leapfrog their way across the map. It looks like XCal is also going to get a 5th base started up at the top side here, so once he has that, you know, I mean, game's effectively over right there. Drone trying to take down a widow mine. It's not often you see that. Look at that. This little guy is just poking along at that widow mine. The widow mine could probably just burrow and then deal with that straight away, but it looks like we're a little bit busy with a fight going on here at the, well, just outside the natural and the 3rd base of Sushi Slayer. Forced back, the tanks are just far too powerful. 3-3 on their upgrades right now. Widow Mine's moving into position to cover all of these units, and I think that is going to be it. There's basically no fight left here, and with XCal taking a 6th base as well, he's just, you know, there is actually no way to win, to come back from this. You could use that take command feature that has recently been implemented in the replay system, and you would still have an extremely tough time coming back. And here we go, the Thor's just microing back, the Roaches trying to get them out as quickly as they can, but to no avail. Sushi Slayer GG's, and we will go into game number 2 in just a moment to see if GREE can bring it back another game and even it up to 1-1, or if Palantir will continue on. And of course it is a best of 5, so keep in mind it is first to 3, and I will see you in the next game in just a moment.